It's Elisa Kos bringing you Jits and Giggles podcast.
Derek Moneyberg, welcome to Jits and Giggles. Or should I say, your actual name's Dale Bushkovsky? Did I say it right?
That's better pronunciation than most people have, for sure. Good job.
You'd appreciate it. So I know when you were on Ariel's show, you said that the whole Moneyberg is a part of your brand, a part of your marketing. But where does Derek come from Dale? Is that like a nickname you've always had your whole life?
It was just a name. I don't know. I thought Dale Moneyberg, Derek Moneyberg.
Didn't sound as...
I don't know. I thought it sounded cool.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. So we already know a lot about the whole jiu-jitsu ordeal. I wanted to start a little bit more just about you, about your background. We just came from your weekly check-in with your clients, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning that, you did not come from a very rich upbringing like a lot of people assume, right? So can we talk about that? You were telling me earlier you're from this area between here and Vegas, is that right?
I was born in Illinois and then grew up in like central Illinois. Yeah, where I had a lot of my childhood I spent in a small house, like a little less under 800 feet. My best friend lived in a trailer park in the backyard. There was a trailer park, so like a trailer court where like white trash people live. And at the end of the street there was a second trailer court. So, those are the sort of people that I grew up with. And my father was gone for a lot of my childhood. That he was busy and not around when he could have been. And then later he was in prison. He had like a 15-year prison sentence for drug trafficking, cocaine trafficking, and my uncle as well. So yeah, I didn't have like, good role models. I had a lot of negative role models. I had a lot of good pointers of like what not to do, where you see people making very bad decisions in their life. And I'm like, like chronic alcoholism, not a good plan for life. Don't do that, Or, a lot of, substance abuse of any kind. You see things like that happening. And you're like, okay, I know not to do that. But I didn't have somebody in my ear to tell me the good stuff, Like, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, be careful here. So I had to do a lot of guess and check and find that out by myself. And yeah, that's kind of, socially or psychologically painful to have to solve those type of problems as a child.
Right, but most people that grow up in that environment, they become a product of their environment. Why do you think you veered the opposite way?
I don't know. I think most people, if we talk about the masses, it's always offensive to people, but like, if you want to do average shit, you just expect average outcomes. You're going to have an average life, and I don't really want an average life. But maybe there are a couple anchors in my head where when I was very young, because my father and uncle were making a lot of money and they were in, interesting social circles. So, we'd be around some, famous people or wealthy people. And I saw, a glimpse of what that looked like. And that looked like a lot more fun than, spending your life in a trailer park.
So your father was doing well for himself. You just were separated from that life.
Well, he had a couple $1 million back in the 80s. When there was a lot of money in the 80s,
Right.
And we could say how he got that, I already mentioned, but he's around other people that had money. And we were around, when we were in Vegas back then, we'd be around some of the families of the casino owners. And, I don't need to say all their names, but there's a lot of famous people. And one's dead, I guess, and no harm done. But there was a famous comedian, Richard Pryor, that I'm told smoked a lot of cocaine with my uncle. They were buddies. And you'd be invited to shows or be around people like that as a child. And I thought, well, that looks like a lot more fun than being poor and broke. So I had that contrast effect. I'd like to live like a more abundant and prosperous or somewhat glamorous life, but I also would really rather not do the prison part that he did,
Right.
So I had to try to learn, I understand you, but you have an MBA as well. My University of Chicago degree is right over there for my MBA. And so I wanted to learn legal ways to make that sort of lifestyle sustainable.
Okay, no, that makes sense. A lot of people, I went through a lot of the comments, and a lot of the questions were, if you came from this more poor background, how did you acquire these homes you mentioned? You acquired a few homes after, was it your mom who left you the homes, or your dad? I forget.
Yeah, the houses that you're thinking about, I think, I inherited the property in my 30s after I already had money.
Yeah.
After I already built my own businesses. I inherited some property when my grandmother passed away.
Gotcha.
That was, part of her estate. But, again, that's 2012.
Right.
I was 33, 34 years old at the time.
Gotcha. But
And
that had
I
no
already
reflection
made
on
money.
your actual childhood. Like your childhood, it sounds like you grew up in a completely different environment than you created for
That was a
yourself
few
later in life.
$100,000. You know, that plaque over there says $50 million.
Yeah.
So that inheritance is not so much in your 30s. You already did a lot of things between childhood and then. There's a picture over there when I was 7. We can get you a copy of the picture if you want. I started making money when I was 7.
Yeah. No, I understand. How did you start making money when you were 7? What were you doing?
Raking leaves and shoveling snow.
Really? So you were an entrepreneur?
Hurting myself shoveling snow because I was too damn small, and cutting grass and walking dogs and washing cars and babysitting kids and cleaning windows or cleaning the house. Or
So you always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
you know, when my father and my uncle went to prison, then my aunt said, I only had the one uncle and one aunt, and she said, you're the man of the house now, and you have to go make some money and help your mother, you know, listen to your mother and help your mother, and, you know, find some ways to make money and contribute, which is a lot of fucking pressure when you're 7 years old.
Yeah.
And but I kind of took that to heart, and yeah, so I was just looking for any little thing that I could do to literally go make like $2 or a few dollars to do something to try to help out.
Do you think coming from a background of not having money and seeing what it was like struggling actually helped motivate you to make money?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're happy with your current circumstances, you're going to have a difficult time changing them. And you have to have a dissatisfaction with your current circumstances. If you want to be significantly better or significantly improve your circumstances, that requires, almost by definition, some significant dissatisfaction with your current circumstances.
Yeah. How do you deal with that now? Like now you're in a completely different position. You obviously have the money. You have a lot of the things that you wanted back then. What keeps you motivated now?
I need a project, you know. I thought that's why I started the Jiu-Jitsu and MMA training.
Right.
Is I woke up one time and I was, you know, 2021, and I was like 42 years old. And I did very well in the stock market in the couple of years before that. And I thought, well, you have enough money, you can kind of do whatever you want. So what would you like to do with your time? Which was a new thought for me. That felt really weird.
Yeah.
Like that felt really emotionally weird, that I was like, because that's all I focused on for like 35 years. Like it's really was my primary goal. That anything that I did in terms of education, you know, most of my behaviors in my life were focused on financial prosperity or creating financial prosperity. And then I was kind of like, oh, like you kind of have enough money, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do ever again. Like your money will make you money. There'll be more money. So how would you like to spend your remaining time in life? And you know, then that helped me. That got me involved in the MMA stuff. That was always something that was in the back of my head as a child. That, you know, at that time I'd watch like WWF wrestling. Today it's called WWE. You see Hulk Hogan, or you'd watch like some 80s actions movies to see like Schwarzenegger or Chuck Norris or stuff like this. And I thought it was super cool. Or Jean-Claude Van Damme. Later on, you're disappointed to find out he's more of an actor than a fighter. But it was really cool. You know, those were amazing movies and influential on me. And then it wasn't until the 90s, you know, 93 was the first UFC event, November 93. So I don't know when I really became aware of that. I wasn't watching the first events, but you know, maybe when I started paying attention to UFC, I suppose Chuck Liddell was like, you know, on his way up, and then was like, you know, superstar champion, etc. 5-time champion. Shout out to Chuck. I was just at Chuck's wedding recently. So yeah, it's a different world, you know. But yeah, I needed a project, and I don't want to just be dormant. I like learning things. I like challenging myself. And I think there's another just like a momentum thing of like when you're used to doing something and you have the momentum to do that thing, it's like, why would you want to quit? You know, Warren Buffett's 95 and he still thinks about investing every day.
Yep.
His business partner who passed away a couple of years ago, Charlie Munger, shout out to Charlie Munger. I have a marble statue of him custom made over here because I really liked Charlie. I thought he had a lot of wise things to say. And there's an interview where Charlie's like, I don't know, 97, 98. He was 99 when he passed away. He's 5 weeks away from his 100th birthday. And he's 97, 98 years old. And he recently had bought a lot of Alibaba stock. And the reporter asks him, like, you know, why did you spend so much money? Why did you buy so much Alibaba stock, you know, at this stage in your life? And he says, I think it's going to do really good in the next 15 years. So he'd be 112 by then.
Right.
So there's a bit of humor to that, but that's what the guy does.
Yeah.
Like that's what the guy does.
No,
So
no.
I don't
that
want
makes-
to retire from anything. I need a project.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think we all work harder when we have something to look forward to or something that we're trying to work towards.
Mm-hmm.
So back to when you were a little bit younger. So did you say you were bullied as a child? Is that correct?
I mean, your your father was in the newspaper day after day, and my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a very overweight woman, so my mom was a fat woman, and I was a fat kid. And my dad's in the newspaper as like the largest drug trafficker in my county's history.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you go to school, you hear a lot of comments of, "My dad said, yeah, about your dad," things of that nature. So, it's more of that type of bullying, or then we'd have physical confrontations that ensue from that sometimes.
Yeah. And did you have any experience with any type of martial arts?
No, not at all.
No. So did you ever get yourself in situations where you were being physically bullied?
Yeah, then after you break somebody's kneecap or bust their head open on a wall and they need some stitches, then the other kids, they don't mess with you as much.
Was that just from your size? Because if you had no technical background, how were you beating these kids up?
Yeah, I'm a bigger person. As an adult, I'm over 6 foot, I'm 6'2", over 270 right now. So
Yeah.
I was a bigger person throughout my life.
Did you ever have a thought as a kid that you wanted to learn how to defend yourself? Like, did any of that lead into?
No, yeah, I did, because partially because of that, and partially, I don't know. I just think like any decent man should be able to protect himself and protect his family.
Yeah.
I think there's like, if you're a decent man, you should have it in your mind that like, oh yeah, probably I should be able to protect my woman and children and yourself.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think that's an innate thing that like any good man would want to have those skills and talents. My mom didn't want to send me because I was always a mischievous kid and in trouble for something. Either somebody was messing with me and then these things would happen, or I was never very good at following orders from others. So I was interested in martial arts. My mom would never let me go to karate or boxing or any of the little martial arts things available in the community. So I had to do that as an adult. But it was a lifetime interest. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had lost 300 pounds, I think you said?
No, I was 300 pounds.
Oh, you were 300 pounds. I was like, Jesus. So when did you lose all of the weight?
Well, I started training in 2021, so about 4 years ago.
So it was through Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, I was lifting weights before that, so I liked weightlifting. And then in 2020, there's the global hysteria of 2020 where they closed the gyms and closed city parks and public places that a person could go to exercise. So I had good fitness routines of lifting weights, and I was in decent shape before then. But then I wasn't sleeping that much. I got fat. I wasn't sleeping that much because I was spending time on the stock market and made my life financially. That was wonderful. But yeah, I got fat and lost some muscle mass because of that, because the gyms are closed, and I lost those routines. And I was overeating and undersleeping, and that's not when I say that's not a healthy lifestyle, I'll clarify that that's not something you'd want to do for years and years of your life. But there are some peak moments in your life where you have a big opportunity in business or a big opportunity in the stock market that I'm like perfectly happy that I did that. But and the critic, the hater, whatever comment a hater makes, like if I ask any of the professional fighters that come here, I say, hey man, if you ended up being like 50 pounds too fat, but you also had like $53 million come with it, you take that deal? Could you go on a diet for $1 million a pound? Could you go on a diet and fix that shit? So, okay, I did too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was worth it at the time to make the money that you made. Yeah. Which, speaking of, so you made a lot of money in the stock market. I understand you have an MBA, but how did you get so good at working within the stock market? Is that self-taught?
I mean, I got 3 university degrees and 2 of them in business.
Yeah, but I mean,
so I learned a lot of academic. I learned a lot of things from academic business school, but then you learn a lot of things in real life business as well. And so it's a combination of those things and mentors and teachers that anything that you want to learn. The biggest frustration in my childhood is we kind of started there. It's I didn't have great teachers or role models, and that's very painful to have to figure things out. And I'm not saying, it hurt my feelings. It did hurt my feelings, but I'm saying for anybody, to try to go, you're training jiu-jitsu, why didn't you just invent jiu-jitsu by yourself? Why didn't you invent a better martial art by yourself? Why do you bother learning from someone else? Why did you bother to go get an MBA instead of like, you could just buy some random shit in the market and see how that goes? Do you think you'd have better results without that education? Of course not.
Probably not.
So like, no, no, you wouldn't. So you'd be unemployed and bankrupt. So no, I mean, I think education is very valuable. And I made a significant effort. I made a far above average effort. I didn't want to go to graduate school. I wanted to go to the best graduate school, and I did. And I wanted to learn, boring things like finance and accounting and economics it's even boring to me, but it's very valuable to understand. If you can't read financial statements, you can't make real decisions in business.
Right.
And if you don't understand statistics, you can't make real decisions about the probability of outcomes. So if you can't read the financial statements, if you don't understand what the financial statements say, and you don't understand probability, how the hell do you make an intelligent decision in life?
Right.
So people that don't understand that, of course, you're at a tremendous disadvantage. And then there's a lot of life lessons that you learn about psychology and management of, insane human behaviors, including some of your own insanities or crazy thoughts that you or I or everybody have. I always laughed about that. I always thought like 2/3 of what you learn in psychology is about your own problems. People say they study psychology to like, I wanted to learn about other people's problems, and you're like, no, about 2/3 of what you learn about is how to manage yourself and not do stupid shit in your own brain.
That is true.
And about 1/3 you learn about, you're like, well, I'm happy I don't have that problem.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Actually, I would say some of the most valuable things I've learned from my MBA is how to manage people more than anything. Wouldn't you say so? Like
Yeah, I agree.
learning how to talk to people, how to manage people, emotional intelligence. I would say those are some of the most valuable things I've learned.
I think things about, logical fallacies was very important, learning about things like that normal people don't seem to understand, or things you'd learn in like managerial decision-making courses. Richard Thaler teaches at University of Chicago. And he had amazing studies going back to the 80s, and he had some good studies since then, but he had amazing studies in Kahneman and Tversky. So the things you learn about human misjudgment, they've been immensely valuable to me, in temporal discounting, how people don't tend to value their time correctly, or they have a tremendous emotional bias towards their feelings right now versus their feelings in the future.
Yeah.
So I think, those are things that help me be a lot more disciplined and aware of like, a lot of people make the mistake and they say like, you have to make sacrifices for your future. No, it's not a sacrifice. The correct word is investment.
Right.
The correct word is investment. You're not sacrificing. If you, instead of going out and getting drunk while you're in college and drinking the goldfish at the party, you could choose to get an A on your statistics exam. Right? And the person that gets the A on their statistics exam didn't sacrifice the depth and richness of the college experience drinking a goldfish with chugging a can of beer. There's no sacrifice. They made an investment to have a better future. And in the future, the person who got the A on their stats exam versus got the C- while drinking the goldfish, the person with the A will tend to have better outcomes in life. You learn that in statistics.
Yeah, I would say so.
And also in econ.
So you did all these things with the stock market. You made your money. You had interest in jiu-jitsu or some type of martial arts. But what was the pivotal moment? Like, why did you decide to start training 3 years and 8, 9, 10 months ago?
I kind of touched on that. There's a moment in the stock market where I was like, wow, like, cool.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm coasting right now.
And then I was like, all right, what do you want to do? What would you like to do? And then, that's when I started. I asked, Paulie Malignaggi was my first, MMA coach. Paulie is a boxing champion, 5-time champion. And, Paulie's a wonderful person. I have a lot of respect for him. So when I tell a joke, it's nothing against him. He's, he kept anything he ever told me, he did it 100%. He's a very honorable man, wonderful person. But training boxing together, he said to me from the beginning, he said, Derek, I never been a trainer. I never been a coach. Like, I don't even know if I know how to teach boxing. And I'm like, well, you're a 5-time world champion. So I bet you know some stuff about boxing that I don't know. Yeah. So let's, come over and we'll play around and we'll see. And we trained together for well over a year, maybe 14 months. We trained maybe, 60 days together, something like that. But Paulie was champion. He'd walk around about 180, and he was champion at like 150-ish, divisions. I don't know the exact boxing divisions, but he was 2-division champion, maybe like 148 and 150 something. and I don't follow boxing, so I don't know the precise weight divisions like I do in UFC. But so he's training me. I'm 300 pounds and out of breath, and he's training me to move like a 150-pound champion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so it was comedic,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you needed a lot of psychological perseverance at that time to do that with him. And he was great, and I have nothing but nice words for him. But it was comedic, a guy who was a champion of 150-ish pounds training a 300-pound guy that I'm like, well, I'm building my cardio and I'm learning foundations of boxing,
At that point, did you think you were going to be training as much as you ended up? Like, were you all in from the very beginning?
No. This goes back to a Chuck Liddell story. Is Chuck came over, or training about 4 months at this time, and I asked Chuck if he'd make time to come train with me, and he said, yeah, sure. So Chuck came over and beat the shit out of me real good, and he's not trying to injure me. So again, Chuck and I get along great. Chuck is a superhero and really a lovely person. If you know him, he's really a very nice man. Very good man, keeps his word, very reliable, very talented. Also has an accounting degree, by the way. People don't know that about Chuck because he's got a bachelor's degree in accounting. So we can actually talk about accounting things and some finance and stats that a lot of people wouldn't know that he has that part of his personality or identity, who he is. But yeah, anyway, he's just rough. He's just an old school rough guy, and he didn't do anything wrong. I have zero negativity to say, but he treated me. He came and trained with me like a professional fighter. He's used to training with pro fighters and high level pro fighters, and I'd been training 4 months, and he treated me like a high level pro fighter and beat the hell out of me.
Yeah,
I had bruises for like 15 days. I had bruises for over 2 weeks. Maybe after our second day, I woke up in the middle of the night and like my back wouldn't work right. Like I couldn't stand up. Like my body just wouldn't work right. And I was like, wow. And I was feeling rough. And I kind of limped my way to the bathroom and laughed at myself a bit. I was like, oh, you think of like, ex-girlfriends and other people that made comments to you over the years of like, why can't you just be happy? Why do you always have to, everything has to be intense. You have to push things. Why can't you just be happy? And I'm like, well, if I was happy in the past, I would have stayed back there, And I said this earlier of like, if you're just so content with your current circumstances, stay there. And that's okay. But if you want to have, tremendously better circumstances, you're going to have to make a, tremendous and significant effort. So I was trying to do that, and I couldn't stand up. But I went to the bathroom, and I limped my way to the bathroom painfully and awkwardly. Yeah. And when I came back and I laid in bed, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? And then I had a different thought, and I thought, there's a lot of people that are dumber than you, and they won't work as hard as you do, and they got a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And if you simply don't give up, if you just accept that process and just think of this, like, the guy's not trying to injure you. I was never mad at him. I was never fussy with him. Like, he's not trying to injure you. Like, this is just what it is. This is the process. And I'm like, if you accept that process, a few years down the road, you're going to have your black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. And, I went, that was the time that I really, there wasn't like another thought about it. I was just like, I'll accept the process. And, again, every day, again, the repetition of that, and your body toughens up.
I was going to say, you're a very goal-oriented person. So did you have a timeline where you're like, I want to complete this in X amount of time, or it didn't matter how long it took?
No, I talked when I got my blue belt, 7 months. I trained 7 months. And I got my blue belt. And I asked my coach, so what would be necessary for me to have a purple belt in 1 year and a brown belt in another year and a black belt 3 years from now. And he said, that's not realistic. It's very difficult. Like, nobody does that. Very few people have done that. And I mentioned the BJ Penn thing. I said, well, BJ Penn did that. And then, and that was, people sometimes poke on the internet. They say, oh, this guy thinks he's BJ Penn, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, no, BJ Penn was my inspiration. And I had a conversation with my coach at the time. So, well, BJ Penn did that. And it's like, it's literally why I hired a bunch of high level, like the best, many of the best jiu-jitsu guys and MMA, grapplers to come train with me, and MMA fighters. I was learning MMA and not just jiu-jitsu. And by the way, when I got the belt, BJ congratulated me. So when I got the belt in 3 years and 7 months, BJ Penn, who got his slightly sooner than I did, a bit over 3 years, congratulated me publicly. But so the same, and then the same internet haters, if they say, well, you think you're BJ Penn, you say, well, yeah, he was like my inspiration to do that, and I have a lot of respect for the guy, and he also congratulated me. And then they say, well, BJ Penn's mentally ill now. I'm like, come on, man, like you're gonna pick a side,
Right.
Pick a side,
right. Yeah.
And shout out to BJ Penn. It truly was the inspiration, and thank you for thinking of me, and happy to help you if I can. Reach out to me.
Yeah. And speaking of this topic, so obviously you had a following before the whole jiu-jitsu thing. Your brand had already existed, correct? Yeah. But then would you say it blew up once you got your black belt?
I mean, my followers are about the same as I have lost followers.
Yeah.
I think.
But more, would you say more talk? Like more, I would say you're like everywhere I look. I was just telling him today, when I look at any jiu-jitsu stream, I feel like I see your name at least a couple times.
It's a wild thing to me is Lyoto Machida was over last week. He was my coach last week. And we had this conversation and we laughed about it. It's like, I said, who is the most important name in MMA in 2024? And both of us would say, Alex Pereira. And, and well-deserved.
Of course.
And then I said, who's the biggest name in jiu-jitsu in 2025? And he's like, you are.
I would say you are the most talked about person in jiu-jitsu. I would have to agree, yeah.
For the year.
Absolutely. And I want to get into that. So I think everybody knows, but just to reiterate, so you got your black belt in 3 years and 7 months, is that correct? And of course, a lot of people did not agree with that. A lot of people said it takes an average of 10 to 12 years. How could you get it? You don't deserve it, this and that and the other. But the one thing I personally want to touch on is I don't think as a community, and you can agree or disagree, I don't feel like we really have a definition of what a black belt is. I feel like there's all different types of black belt. Would you have a definition of what a black belt is?
Helio Gracie there's an old video. This is Horace Gracie's father. And Helio Gracie said a black belt is your instructor's opinion of your skills.
There you go.
And he said, who can question this? Like, no one. Who do you owe an explanation to? Find the video. Who do you owe an explanation to? No one.
Right. Because the one thing, Ariel said some things I agree with, but the one thing he said that I don't agree with as a practitioner is I don't believe you have to compete in order to be a black belt. I have friends myself that are black belts that have never competed a day in their life. And I have black belts, friends who compete all the time. You could be a hobbyist, you could be a competitor. I don't feel you have to compete in order to get to that level.
The vast majority of people who have a black belt never went to a competition.
Exactly. No, you're correct.
Way more than half.
You're correct.
Way more than half.
Yes, I think that would be very discouraging to the sport if we told people, in order to join our community, you have to compete. There's so many dads, moms, and just people that are interested in the competition part of it, and I don't think it's fair to insist upon that. And I was having a conversation with a friend, and they were saying, no, you do have to compete. And I'm like, so say, hypothetically speaking, if I do jiu-jitsu consistently, not even like you consistently, let's say I train 2 to 3 days a week for 10 years, I never deserve to be promoted. I think that would be a very hard opinion to have, right?
I think people do things, they have different level of IQ, they have a different level of ambition or motivation. And that's how life is, man. Not everybody has their MBA like you or me.
Right.
Not everybody,
And I do understand people being skeptical. It's not every day that somebody gets their black belt so quickly. Obviously, you have the ability to bring in these high-level guys. My question for you is, do you ever feel like you're lacking anything that you would get in a class setting, like different types of looks, anything like that you don't get from just one-on-one training?
Yeah, less injuries. I'm lacking some injuries that I would have got from some dumb fuck at a normal gym.
That is a good point. That is a very good point.
I'm lacking a few injuries that I would have got at a normal gym.
Have you ever been interested in like the camaraderie of a gym environment or no?
The thing about me, and this always, I think this is one of the things that people are fussy about, is like, I don't want to be around average people. I don't want to go to an average gym. I didn't want to go to an average university. Mm-hmm. My friends don't have average jobs. Mm-hmm. Most of my friends don't have jobs at all. They run businesses, or they did something pretty significant in their life that it wouldn't make sense for them to show up to a job. Mm-hmm. And when I say something like that, it hurts somebody's feelings, And I would say a couple things in response, if you give me the bandwidth to do so, mm-hmm. is that, I had my first $1 million while I was still in my 20s. Should I have waited later because it made somebody feel uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
I had over $10 million while I was in my 30s. Should I have waited longer because it made somebody feel uncomfortable? Do I owe them that? Because, well, average people don't do that. So how could you do that? Well, it's in my fucking bank account. It's in my fucking brokerage account. So, I had $50 million a few years later. Should I have waited longer? Because most people never do that in their lifetime. So should I wait till I'm dead? So I don't really give a fuck what most people do. And I don't owe them an explanation. And smart people understand that.
Yeah.
So, and I always make this divide, and this is very humorous to me, by the way. I always make this divide. It's like intelligent people understand. If you're, in the top 20% or so, then you understand, you probably did better. You're having above average life. You're doing well. You're probably working hard to do even better or making some effort to do even better. Mm-hmm. And a person like that's not offended when I make these comments. Yeah. A person like that, when I say a loser or a hater believes this, mm-hmm. they don't identify as a loser or a hater. They're like, oh, he's not talking to me. What he's saying actually makes logical sense. Yeah. But when I say those words, I don't care what losers think. I don't care what haters think. That's where all that rage comes from. And they self-identified as that. Mm-hmm. If you're offended by the word loser, that's you. It's you I'm talking to. If you're offended by the word hater, you're probably a fucking hater. And a hater is just a jealous fan. Yeah. They don't randomly, somebody doesn't hate on you because they actually dislike you. They wish they were more like you. Mm-hmm. But they're too fucking soft to do the work that you did. Yeah. There's another comment about Chuck all the time. And his coaches said this. I met John Hackelman recently. Hackelman was he's like the Kempo guy, mm-hmm. Kempo Karate or Hawaiian Kempo. And if you, everybody wanted to be a champion like Chuck, but nobody wanted to do the work that Chuck was willing to do. That's what everybody said about him. Yeah. So that's life, Some people are willing to work harder. Some people are smarter than other people. Some people did other things in their life ahead of time, and they had the resources to bring in. I don't say this in a bragging way. I say it in an objective way. It's like, I'm not aware of anybody that had a better coaching team than me ever. Yeah. I brought in the best coaches in the world. Many.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you know roughly how many?
There's 32 names on the wall over there.
It's 32. So obviously...
Plus I trained with many people in other places, but those are people that came here.
And obviously I assume every training session went slightly different due to it being various different coaches. But how was your training? Do you focus more on drilling? Do you do the eco? What does your training sessions look like?
The eco, is that a homosexual thing? What are you talking about? What is this eco thing you mentioned? I'm straight.
Do you do more of the drilling? Like, will your coaches come in and say, okay, today, Derek, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z? Or are you learning just through rolling with them?
No, both are structured things. I like to say if we spent 4 days together, then I'd like to show them like, hey, here's some things that I've been working on with other people mm-hmm. Since I seen you last. Right. And then I'd like to get their take on that. Yeah. And then I'd say, hey, here's the things that I remember us working on in the past. And we'll go review those things. Gotcha. And then I'll give them the floor of like, what have you been thinking about? And if there's something very structured that I want to work on, then we do that sometimes. But I find for the personality of most of these people, they're mostly pretty independent people. Or mm-hmm. I'll get the most value if I see whatever they're excited about at that moment.
So there's no curriculum. It's more just like however.
But that's the quote that they're going to put that's going to go everywhere.
Derek no doesn't follow curriculum. But there's not. It's not like you're like week 1, week 2, which a lot of gyms don't follow curriculum, to be clear. But I was just curious if all of the coaches were working together or if it's more like individual.
I worked with a lot of different people and a lot of different things. Jake Shields would come like every 4 weeks, mm-hmm. like 50 times. Yeah. Every 4 weeks for years. And mm-hmm. then I'd say that he was my head coach for grappling, for Jiu-Jitsu. And I'd show him like, hey, I've been working on this with so-and-so, and I worked on this, and I worked on this, and these are the things we worked on last time. Right. What have you been thinking about? And we'll tie those pieces together and make it more systematic and cohesive, and this is related to this, and this is related to that, and build the map and make the map beautiful.
Okay. Do you prefer to play guard or not to play guard? Anything you could tell us about your game?
You're going to end up wherever you're going to end up in a situation. Obviously, I'm a big guy, so I'd rather be on top of somebody, and they're not going to enjoy that.
Do you also work on wrestling? Do you have people come in and work specifically on wrestling?
Cejudo came to help me with wrestling. A guy named Kyle Sermonera is a very high-level wrestler.
Very cool.
I worked with him a bit. There's a lot of people that aren't that don't have those same wrestling credentials, but are excellent wrestlers. Glover Teixeira is an amazing wrestler, high-level jiu-jitsu guy, but also great wrestling skills. Chuck Liddell was a great wrestler. Derek Brunson was a very good wrestler. So I had a lot of people that are, they didn't win a gold medal in the Olympics like Henry Cejudo won in wrestling, but they're excellent wrestlers on top of their jiu-jitsu skills.
Very cool. Are you also a consumer of jiu-jitsu? Do you like to watch jiu-jitsu on your free time as well?
Not really.
Not really? Any favorite grapplers you do like to follow?
Yeah, their names are
every single one of them.
Their names are on my wall.
Anybody not on the wall that you wish that would come in and work with you?
That's interesting. Who would I like to? I think I'd love to do. I'd love for Kayla Harrison to stop over. We spent time together, but I'd love to work with Kayla on some judo. I'd be super excited about Kayla. I don't know. I wish I thought of a more, a better, flowing list. But everybody I asked to come over, almost everybody comes over, and yeah, I mean, I got to learn a lot of things. It's been amazing. It's like, it's kind of surreal to me, honestly. I'm like, it's been amazing. Let me ask you a question, though, regarding some of these same topics. Is like, if you any good at basketball?
No.
All right. So I'm not either. Okay? Not really. So if you and I started training with, if you took like the 50 best basketball players of all time, and like we started training regularly with like 20 of them, and we'd pick like, who would you pick? We picked Michael Jordan, pick, Kobe Bryant if he's available, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. We picked Dwayne Wade maybe, Magic Johnson in his prime, Larry Bird. I don't know who the young guys are because I don't watch basketball, but we'd pick some of these, LeBron James perhaps. So if we trained with them, if you trained with those people for the next 3 years and 7 months, and right now you don't, no basketball background, huh? If you trained with them in, 3 years and 7 months, would you be a pretty good basketball player?
I would say I'd be a lot better than I am now, yeah, for sure.
You'd be pretty good. Would you not be in like, the top 1% of basketball players, of female basketball players at least?
Yeah, I think my age might be a detriment, but yeah, I think I would be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm 46, so I didn't say I was going to win ADCC. I never said that. Never said I was going to win Worlds. Never said that. Never said I was going to be UFC champion. I started training for self-defense. I said that the whole time.
Yeah.
I was training for self-defense and I was training for fitness.
Yeah, and I think Gordon said that too. He said if you went against somebody your age, your rank, you would hold your own. Or I think he actually quoted and said that you would probably give him a really hard time, right?
What he said on the Rogan show is that another guy asked him the question, so you're saying if Derek went to a normal gym and trained with a guy his age, his size, that he'd do pretty well. And Gordon said, actually, I think he'd beat him up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think that is something that the community was, I guess you could say, attacking you over, is they're comparing you to like prime, right? Prime age, prime elitism. And it's like, that's not what your goal was. Your goal, from what I remember reading and hearing, is you just wanted to be in better shape. You wanted to be able to protect yourself, right? Do you feel
That's what I studied for.
And do you feel like you did that?
I don't. Not too many people seem to be a threat to me in the street, despite the comments. Despite the comments that suggest I should be scared to go outside. Yeah. I don't have any fear to go outside.
And I know, and you don't owe anybody anything, but of course you do choose to be public, right? So have you ever considered just doing a local tournament to shut people up?
No, I really don't give a fuck. It's let me say it this way, and you'll get plenty of flack for this, and I will too. But I think like this. I think the people that matter know. And the people that don't know don't matter. Were they invited here to train with me?
Right.
Do I give a shit about their opinion?
Right.
So think about that. Like literally, like you have photos of like the tribute wall in the other room, in the grappling room, of the people that I have trained with, and who the primary coaches were. They know. When I go to Glover's gym in Connecticut, when I go down to Danaher's gym, it's like, nobody's there making fun of me. It's like, I'm not, there's a lot of people there that are better than me. They've been trained, they're world champions, and, the ones that suck are still like third best in the world or something, obviously I say suck loosely or jokingly. Yeah. The number 8 guy in the gym still is like number 3 in the world or something like that. It's like ridiculous, it's like the skill set is ridiculous. Nobody's there making fun of me, or they're not poking at me. They're like, oh, like the guy's respectful, he's nice, he's respectful to us. I'm courteous that if I'm training with a smaller person, I'm not putting my weight on them. I'm very careful that I don't injure them. I'm very mindful that way if I'm training with a woman or a smaller man. But I don't want to hurt. I never hurt any of my training partners. You get nosebleeds and things that happen, but I never hurt any of my training partners. A couple of them hurt me, but that's okay. And it's not like they're taking it easy on me. Like, these guys are fucking killers. They're not taking it easy on me. It's like, my body hurts. I'm 46. My body hurts. Every week, my body hurts.
No.
Every day.
No, I get it.
So like, but regarding the public, when they say, well, Jarek don't care, but he's still here doing this interview. No, what I mean to say is this, is like, somebody that's making a negative comment like that, would I invite that person here to come train with me? Would I care to go meet them or hang out with them in any context? Would I invite them to dinner? Would I go to dinner if they invited me? What? I don't want to spend time with somebody like that. Mm-hmm. I don't really value their opinion. Yeah. Let me say it in a more different way. It's like, if I were going to hire a coach or a consultant to help me with solve a problem in my life, is that the person that I would hire? Would that be the most qualified person that I would seek their opinion? Not at all. What would I pay for their opinion? Yeah. I'd pay nothing. So if they happen to post it on the internet for free, that's a mental illness for me if I now value it differently. Right. Their opinion is still worth nothing.
If anything, I would think even the negativity is fueling your brand in some way. Is that incorrect?
Please keep talking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not stupid. I mean, you know what you're doing. Like, people talking bad or good, it's helping you. I don't know if people catch on to that, but I don't think you're bothered at all. Right? So let's talk real quick. We're running out of time. Sean's probably sweating over there. So I know you have a podcast. You've had a lot of awesome guests. Anybody you haven't had yet that you want?
They'll come.
Yeah? Okay.
They'll come.
Nobody you've had any issues getting?
I mean, people are busy, or sometimes you have conflicts where, I'm friends with somebody's enemy, and then it creates a conflict where I really value relationships and loyalty.
Yes.
More than clicks and views. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple people, I don't need to say their names, but there's a couple people that are, they had some rivalry that's unresolved, that they're from the past with, one of my coaches. And I'll be respectful and be like, all right, if my friend was spending time with an enemy, they're not really my friend.
Right.
And if you want to have good friends, you have to be a good friend. So I have to be mindful of some things like that, where there's some conflicts of interest.
Any dream guest that you haven't had yet?
Dream guest, who would I like to talk to? I'd like to talk to Benjamin Franklin. I'd like to talk to Friedrich Nietzsche, although we didn't speak the same language. I think that'd be difficult, but I'd like to chat with Nietzsche for a bit. Who else would be fun? I'd like to talk to Charlie Munger. Unfortunately, he passed away too. Mm-hmm. People that are alive, we'll get in touch. If we're supposed to, we'll get in touch. I don't really push it in that way. It's like, if it's fun and convenient, cool. And if not, okay.
So I know you mentor people with growing their business or growing their brand. What's something that you notice that people overlook when they're trying to become successful that's like a given that they need to be doing?
You and I talked about it earlier today, is the consistency thing. Mm-hmm. If you can't show up for your own success consistently, you're just not going to have much success. And somebody that's mad at me is like, and I worked hard. When you're a kid, when you're a child, you cry because you don't have what you want. You pray to God. You do whatever the traditions or rituals that are normalized in your culture. And about the time you get done with all that bullshit, and you decide, hey, what could I do for myself? Mm-hmm. What are the variables that I have control over? What are the behaviors that I could engage in today that would make my life a little bit better, in the future? And about the time that you take that personal responsibility for your outcomes, you'll start to have better outcomes incrementally. Mm-hmm. And it won't happen overnight. And if you want to be an overnight success, you'll probably never be a success. And if you never made $1 million yet, and you think you're going to make $1 million this week, you're almost for sure you're not. And if you did, you'd find a way to mess it up.
Consistency is key.
I think the consistency part is like, I think that's more important than anything else I did. Is I showed up very consistently, and I learned from the best people in the world. That's why I wanted to go to U Chicago. It was ranked #1 business school in our country when I was there, by 3 of the 4 big publications. That's why I wanted the best coaches, the best teachers. That, like, if you're learning 2nd and 3rd tier information, how can you be the best at something? I don't need to be the best at everything, but you're not going to be excellent, with a 4th tier coach and a 4th tier education. Like, you're going to be making lower level, decisions. You're going to have lower level outcomes. So I think it's very important that in the areas that matter to you in your life, you want to have the best coaches and the best teachers that you can. You want to learn from people who did the thing that you want to do. And you have to show up very consistently without excuse. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday. It doesn't matter if you have an injury. If I woke up and if I woke up and felt terrible, there's one line there where I have to have respect for my coach. If I'm sick,
yes,
and it's
of course,
contagious,
yes.
then I have to have respect for my coach and tell them, hey, I'm feeling really ill and I'm excited to go train, but that might be contagious. And if you don't want to do that, I understand. But if I just woke up and had like a bad headache, I wouldn't even mention it.
Right.
Maybe we'll mention it at 2 a.m. We did our training, we did the things, and at 2 a.m. say, man, really had a rough headache earlier.
Yeah.
But I would never even mention it before or during. It's something to say, either leave it alone or not say it. Not say it at all, or say it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And something I spent a lot of time with world champions in the past few years. I have a lot of respect for them, and one of the things I really respect about them is like they don't complain.
Right.
The men or the women, you don't hear champions complaining.
They find a way.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier that you really work almost every single day, if not every single day.
I don't have a day off.
You don't take any vacations?
I travel a lot. It's
but you're still working.
If I travel somewhere, I meet clients. I do interviews. I do seminars.
But you never just check
seminars.
out for the day, ever.
What, are you calling me gay again?
I believe you, but I can't believe, you never feel like burnout where you just want to
make money. I spend money every day, so I should make money every day.
I understand that.
If you're a lover of prosperity and you like to compound the gains over time, why would you take a day off from building more prosperity?
I do understand that, but isn't that the point of making money so that you can enjoy life? It's, even if it's for a day or two.
Do you think that people that take a lot of time off are enjoying their life more than I am?
Well, a lot of time off, I agree with you, but I don't think a day or two. Do you think a day or two would be detrimental?
I think you should live your life exactly how you want to and pursue your happiness and pursue your dreams. And I think that they should too. But for me to be my best self, I like prosperity every day. I like to work on my goals every day.
That's fair. So I want to end with this. I feel like, we know you as Derek Moneyberg, but can you tell us something maybe we don't know about you, or can you tell us you behind the scenes? What's something we wouldn't guess about you, or what does your family and friends view you as?
You can ask them, I suppose. That there's a lot of people the people that know me well say a lot of nice things about me.
Can you share
any? And a lot of people that never met me, they say a lot of nasty things about me.
What are you like when you're not working, when you're not Derek Moneyberg?
I'm always working, but I always keep my word. If you ask people that know me,
loyal.
If I say I'll do something, they know it's a fact. They don't need to check 3 more times. Hey, are we still doing that thing? Hey, are we good for that thing? If I say I'll do something, for sure I'll do it. And I think that's very important, that your word has to mean something or people can't trust you. And you're not going to have very good relationships. So people say that I'm very hardworking, I'm a very loyal friend.
Mm-hmm. If
I give a promise, I don't cancel plans ever. If I make plans with somebody, I don't cancel on them because a better something came up. I was invited to see the president. I don't remember what month, but he was doing a rally in the city that I was in, and I had a workout scheduled with one of my MMA coaches and my weightlifting coach. And instead of being backstage with the president and the other VIPs that would be there, I went and did my workout. I went and lifted the weights like I had scheduled.
You're reliable.
When I was invited to the White House at Easter time, I was invited to go to the White House. And instead of going to the I'd be happy to go to the White House. I've met Trump before. I've met his daughter, Ivanka. We're not close, but we're not friends. Mm-hmm. But I've met them before. I respect their family. I think they're nice people overall. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect either, but it's the best president we could hope for at the moment. And I couldn't go to the White House because it was on my training schedule that my coach was coming over that week. I never called them and say, hey, I got invited to the White House. No, I'm there. I keep the schedule all the time. Anybody that knows me will say I'm extremely reliable, very loyal, always keep my word.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear. Anything you want to close with? Any statements or anything you want to clear up or say?
No, there's nothing to say that hasn't been said, guys. It's like, if you want to have exceptional results, you have to engage in exceptional behaviors. And regarding that bell to, anyone can do math. Anyone who can do math is like, I put in the same hours or more hours that any other black belt did. I did it with the best coaches in the world. And I have a history of success before them that I did many other things at a high level. I'm not perfect. I'm not the best, I'm not the best investor in the world. If you want to learn investment, best person to learn from would be Warren Buffett. If you don't have time, I'm a great option. I'm not the best entrepreneur in the world. I think Elon Musk is a better entrepreneur than I am. But if you can learn from Elon personally, I think you should. And if Elon doesn't have time for you, then I'm a great option to learn entrepreneurship from. Okay, I'm not the best black belt in the world, and I'm not interested in teaching you that. But but I am a black belt, and I do just fine with the other black belts, and the professional people respect me. And I don't give a shit what the other ones think. I don't owe them an explanation. Right? But I did a lot of things in my life very well. I'm not the best in the world at anything. I'm sure there's better real estate. Sam Zell was a better real estate investor than me. He's passed away. There's other people who are better real estate investors. But I made a lot of money in real estate too. If you can learn from the best real estate investor in the world, whoever that might be today, learn from him. And and if not, I could help you with that too. But I don't pretend to be somebody that I'm not. And whatever the public wants to think, because it doesn't matter. The top 20% of people, the people that can do math, the people that are engineers, the people that have a good work ethic, like military people and other tough people that are hardworking, they understand me, and we get along just fine. All the professional people that are high level at something, we get along fine.
Right.
And I don't give a shit. Was it some guy who's the number one thing a hater hates is himself. So some bum that he wouldn't be allowed to clean my toilets. He wouldn't be allowed to dust the nipples of my bronze statues. But I'm supposed to care what his opinion is on the internet?
To comb the hair of your bear rug.
Wouldn't be allowed to comb the hair on my grizzly bear rug here. So, I just value those opinions appropriately. I'd pay nothing to hire that person as a consultant. And if they happen to offer their opinion for free, then I still give it the appropriate value. Their opinion's worth nothing. But the people that matter know, and the people that don't know, it doesn't matter. Think whatever you want.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you meeting with me and answering all my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.